have proactive remediations that we're going to talk about today. So proactive remediations is the thinking from Microsoft side when they come out with this is that you have your data and your analytics in Endpoint Analytics. You find your issues in your environment, whether it's starter performance or other issues, and then you use proactive remediations to correct these issues. What I've been found while working with this for quite some months now is that you can use this for so much more. So what is it really? So for Microsoft, as I said, it allows us to fix common issues. Think desired state configuration on your clients. You can also use this to notify your users about X, Y, or Z. And it's basically it's a way for us to schedule and push down scripts to run on the clients that are managed through proactive remediations. And the script package consists of a detection script that's required. And this is where you can do, if you only do a detection script, you can detect stuff in your environment, or you can do it to report stuff, or you can do it to just notify your user about something. If you want to have a check in the detection script and then correct it, you will also add a remediation script to that same script package. So let's start with the prereqs. So for this to work, the devices must be enrolled into Endpoint Analytics. And for this to happen, devices must be either Azure AD joined or hybrid AD joined and meet one of the following conditions. It needs to have a Windows 10 Enterprise. And the reason it says professional here in quotation marks is that I'm not quite sure how this is license-wise. Because if you look at the licensing requirement, it says enterprise. And there is some discrepancies in the docs here, but I have tested it on professional and it works, but I'm not sure if it's compliant with the licensing. You can also, of course, use education. Or you don't have to use Intune. It can also be a co-managed device if you're running. So, of course, you're using Intune, but it doesn't have to be native Intune cloud. It can also be co-managed. And from version 1903 or later, there's no real, you don't have to move any workloads for proactive remediations to work on the device. The funny thing about enrolling the devices into Endpoint Analytics is that you don't have to do anything specifically when it comes to co-management workloads. And I had a customer that somebody was playing around in their console in the cloud, and they say, hey, yeah, let's enable Endpoint Analytics. I only have 5 devices in Intune, no problem. What happened was, of course, they got 45,000 devices enrolled into Endpoint Analytics because they have enabled co-management, even though they haven't moved any workloads. So be aware of that. If you enable Endpoint Analytics and target all your devices, everything is going to be enrolled into Endpoint Analytics as well. So when it comes to the actual scripts, the scripts are, as we should guess, they're running PowerShell. And one important thing with the scripts, it needs to have UTF-8 encoding. If you don't do that with your scripts, you might, or you will, get into issues. When you upload the script file into Proactive Remediations and it doesn't have the correct encoding, Microsoft is going to translate it wrong, and you will get some variables not working, and you will have typos in your script, and then it's going to fail. When you run the scripts from Intune, we will also be able to output information that comes back into the Intune console. And in the Endpoint Manager console, or portal, the maximum output limit is 2048 characters. If it is anything more than that, like if you get a huge error message, it's gonna just cut it at 248. And we have some options here. We can run the script with the user that's logged on, or we can run it as system. The funny thing is that the enforce script signature check doesn't actually enforce script signatures or enforce signed scripts. What happens if you set this to yes is that the script will use the device's local execution policy. So if you have set that to something else than what's default, or you set it to require signing, or you set it to bypass, or what you might have done in your environment, that is what's going to apply if you say enforce script signature check equals yes. So actually what it should say here is that if you choose yes here, it should say use local PowerShell policy. If you set it to no, as we see here, it will run the script with the bypass. So bypass execution policy. And of course, we can choose whether or not to run this in 64-bit PowerShell host, which is quite a cool thing, because if you are running Win32 apps in Intune, they will by default run in 32-bit PowerShell as well. So with Proactive Remediations, we don't only get the option to schedule our scripts to run once or run hourly or weekly or every 30 days, but we also have the option to choose between 32-bit and 64-bit. So as I said, the script jobs can be scheduled. And what we also have here is reporting. And what we see here on the reporting is that it will not only tell us if the script has run, it will tell us, did it find any of the issues we were checking for? It will tell us how many devices has issues, how many has been fixed, how many fix attempt failed, how many script fails did we have, and how many has it tried to fix. So if you look at this picture here, for instance, we had 600 devices without issues. We had 253 with issues and 1 failed. And when it comes to the remediation, we see that it didn't fix anyone. It ran the remediation script on 249 devices, but when it ran post detection, it still found the same issue, so they were not fixed according to the logic in proactive remediations. This is a special one because it actually doesn't fix it itself, but it will. This is an example for proactive remediation where we notify the user through a toast, and then the user will get a message, and that's like, hey, your battery is running bad health. You should try to replace your battery, or your disk space is low, but then you need to clean it up yourself before the issue is fixed. So this is some of the examples of stuff we can do in here. And 4 remediations actually failed. So the magic is in exit 0, exit 1. And what I mean with that is it all comes down to the script itself. So let me show you an example of a detection script. Let me just get it over here. And what we can see in here is that this is just a simple script that checks for something in registry, right? And what we see here is that exit 1 here. And then down here we have exit 0 when it's when the registry value is a match. So as long as the script returns exit 0, it means there is no issue with this device. For any of the other states here, the exit is 1, and that is what triggers the remediation script to be kicked off on the device itself. On the remediation script, we don't need to have any exit values. We can just remediate the issue by setting the correct value in the registry or fix whatever other issue we have. And then as long as this script runs successfully, it will give us an exit 0. And then it will say issue is fixed. But it doesn't only do that. When it has run this remediation script, it's going to run the detect script once more to really verify that we fixed the actual issue. So it's important to build the scripts correctly. If you don't have the exit 1 and exit 0, and you type out something else, right? Output success, or you just do a write output error, and you still not have an exit 1, it's not going to kick off the remediation script. So to be able to kick off remediate, we need to exit 1. So I want to talk a little bit about some of the use cases before I jump into the portal in a little bit. Some of the use cases that I've been using proactive remediation for is checking for battery health. And when we check for battery health, we combine that with end user notifications. The other one is disk space, because users might not think about how much disk space is on their device if they're only working in Office or working around saving docs, and they don't actually open the file explorer, but they just work inside their applications. They don't see that they're running low on disk space, so we can notify them about it. The other thing is uptime check. So has the computer rebooted the last X days or something? And then we will also give them a notification because, hey, I want you to reboot at least every 2 weeks. And if you don't do that, I'm going to notify you to do a reboot. This is all of these are type of proactive remediations that doesn't fix itself. You can't remediate. Of course, you can remediate the uptime check by forcing a reboot, but we don't really want to do that with our users. Some other use cases I have is reporting on BitLocker status. Sometimes we do have a BitLocker report in Endpoint Management portal, but sometimes we need to know a little bit more about why is BitLocker not enabled, and then we can actually use this to get the status into proactive remediation on what is the issue with this device. Is the TPM at this state okay? What kind of an encryption level do we have? And other stuff that we want to check to make sure BitLocker is capable of being enabled. And this can be combined with also remediating BitLocker by enforcing the encryption on devices that has not encrypted yet. Another thing I've done is collecting custom inventory, making my own inventory reports. So I have a proactive remediation that runs once a day. It collects a lot of information about my clients and import them into, for instance, log analytics in Azure. And then I can do queries against that custom inventory and make my own reports. Another good example is managing local admins. Make sure that people don't add local admin users to their device. If they have temporary admin for some reason, we gave them the local admin to use for a day, and then we need to clean up after. This is some of the examples we can do with this one. And of course, it's much more, and it's all down to your imagination, really, for the use cases. So how do we actually then deploy a script package? And let me just switch to the correct one here. And let me join. So in Endpoint Manager portal, you go to reports, click on Endpoint Analytics, and here we click on Proactive Remediations. So in here, we can create a new script package. And then we have to give it a name. Hello, demo. We do a description. And then we click on next. And here you see, when they first released this, we could actually type the script here. They removed that because it caused a lot of issues with they were not able to support, for instance, signed scripts. So they switch over to only allow uploads. So we take a detection script, we upload it like this. And this is where you can see if the script is not formatted in UTF-8, you might see it starts with a question mark. That's a good sign. Or you can see some of the dollars suddenly says something else than a dollar in your script. So I recommend you to actually look through the script in here, maybe even after you upload it, copy it and paste it into your script editor to verify that it was correctly read by Microsoft after the upload. And then we do a remediation script. And then we can choose, this is to be run by the logged on user credential. Let's see. You have a question? No. You just heard somebody talking. So as this is actually writing to Hockey local machine, this must be run as system and can't be run with the user unless the user, of course, is a local admin, which they shouldn't be. And I'm going to choose to run this in 64-bit PowerShell. You can have scope tags, and then you can assign it to a group or all devices or all users. And in here, it pops up like this. It says all devices daily. But what we can do here is edit this one and say we want this to run once at 1 a.m. on Sunday or something. And that's it. Or we can have it run hourly. Then it's from we push this out, it's going to run once per hour on all your clients. Or we can do daily. And here is where you can say each 14-day at this time, 9 a.m. in the morning. We want to run this script on all clients. I need to type it correctly. 9 a.m. And then you can also do, you want to run the script one per year. That's possible as well. We can't schedule a specific date per year. But we can do for once, we can say run this script at the 4th of May and on all clients, for instance. That's possible. So let's say we're going to run this daily each other day and apply. And then you go through it and you create it. So this is some of the examples of, and we can go down here, repeats every hour. That's the interval on this one. And also you can see here on the reporting, you can see the device status. So this is for demo. I just modified the script. And I said if the device hasn't rebooted in 0 days, it's going to notify the end user, which is, of course, it's just something I did to get it in here. And what we can see here that is specific is that it will always detect with issues, even though the remediation has recurred. So the remediation script has recurred, but the detection status is still with issues. Also, when you work in here, the default look when you go into this view is actually like this. So you get in here, click on columns to see the actual output from the script itself. So here we can see the pre-remediation detection output, last reboot in days 0. And we can see the post-remediation output, which is also 0. Another example, I'm not sure if this actually has been able to report back yet. Here is one, issue fixed. And here is you say the registry item does not exist. And that was run at 6:27 this afternoon. And then we got the other one. It seems like I had an error in the remediation script. And this brings me over to where we go more into the troubleshooting later and see other places we can find this same information. So the other thing is I just want to show you from a bit, it's not a huge place of information, but one of the things is that you can see over time, you can see that your status over time for how many devices were remediated at which day, how many has failed, and this is getting better. They're working to bring in more historical data as well. Because if you look at the actual device status now, you will see just the last run in here. We can't look, okay, so what was the status of this yesterday? That is not something we can see today. We can only see the current status at the moment. So the other thing is if I look at, let's see, this one. And if I look at the properties on this one, or the device status on this one, it says without issues on all the devices. SMB 1.0 is disabled on all my devices. Thank God. And then it's, I can't see if any of these devices had SMB 1 enabled yesterday and then was fixed, because this run again today, so I can't see the historical data in here. The reason some of these devices has the sync time back in time is because they haven't been online since this date. But we do have a good view of the status of, and you also have the full overview over here, and you can see the remediation, but all this data is from the last run. It's not from the aggregate of the last 2 weeks or something, it's from the last run. So if you dive a little bit into the details, so I'm going to show you a couple of things. One is when we have this script that failed, there is of course a place to find this, and that's in the logs locally on the machine. This is an example of, that's the notification, by the way, from the computer uptime that I set to 0 days. So this is how such a notification from proactive remediation could look like. And the logs that is used here is from Intune management extensions, logs under program data. And then if you look at this log, Intune management extension log, and I'm using CM trace, and then I can filter all lines that contact HS. That is for health scripts. So if then you get only the lines that are related to proactive remediations. And if you scroll a little bit here, you can see that the same error I got from the log, we can see it in here. And it also tells us where is the actual script. So it's stored locally. All scripts are stored locally on the device as well. So this is the log to look for errors. It will also tell you the last output. Last line of output was blank. If we search for more of this, we can find more of those. Last rebooting days is 0. And we can see user notified about reboot. So this is, so everything is in here in the log. But in addition to that, let's just start with looking at the health script itself. So you have a bunch of health scripts, right? And then it's like, okay, I want to check this health script locally. On the local device, it looks like this. So here we have all the health scripts, but it doesn't really tell us the name of the health script from the portal. So this is just the health scripts IDs and the version. So if you see down here, one of them is version 12, one of them is version 1, one is version 6. That means we have changed the scripts since I first created them. So how do I know which script here matches with which script in here? Well, for me, I think it's easiest to use Graph Explorer. And then I run this line here, and then it will tell me all the IDs, and it will tell me the display name and the ID. So the 1EFF, you go back here, and you see this script. And then if the user is local admin, he can get into this folder. If he's not able to get into this folder. And here we can find the script themselves. And here is the detection script for reboots or OS uptime. So this is the way where you can go from here to here and find the right script. And then we can find it back on our machines here. The same thing comes to actually, if you're going to look into Registry, because all these scripts also write to the registry their values of what happened with the last reports. So if you go here to HK local machine, for Microsoft Intune management extensions, sidecar policies, status service reports, scripts, sorry. We're going to go in here, scripts, and here we have executions and we have reports. So execution, the 000 grid here is those script that runs under the system, while the other one is the one that runs under the local user, like run as me. So it's the same here. If you find this 1EFF script, which is the computer uptime, I can see this run the last execution was this morning at 8 a.m. So that's when the script ran the last time on my machine. And then if I go under reports and I find the same script result, I also have the result itself from the script here in a JSON format. This is what is sent up to the Endpoint Manager console. And then if we take a deeper look into that one, it looks like this. And we will see here that from the run on my machine, the last reboot in days was 2. So my device was rebooted 2 days ago. So there's multiple places where you can troubleshoot and get deeper into what's going on. If you're wondering if the script has run even on your device, sometimes we can see that I have published a script to run every hour, and I check back 6 hours later, and there's no trace of this in the console. And most of the time, that is because the reporting in the console is delayed. And then I go into Registry, into my Registry, and I can look here on the execution time. And then it will tell me the last execution is at this and this date and this time. And that helps me to find out, okay, I know the script has run. Okay, I can check the result from the script down here. And then I know, okay, the script is working. It's doing its job. I just have to wait for the reporting to update. So where is the stuff? I know I have 1 hour. I think I've been talking way too faster than I thought. But the health script is copied down to the local device under C Windows, IME cache health scripts. Local logs is found under the C program data into management extension folder. The local status is in the registry, and the policy IDs, it's easy to find them in Graph. If you're not able to run Graph, you can also go in here. You can press F12 in your browser, and you can click on one of the scripts. And then if you look here on the sources, for network. And you can see here on the run summary, headers. We can see actually here as well. Let me just take this out a little bit. And then we can see a little bit more. Yeah, I'll do like this. And then we can see here that we also actually here has the GUID of the script. So that's also a way to find it if you don't know, if you don't have the possibility, if Graph Explorer is blocked or not allowed to consent in your organization, you can find it through your browser as well. Because this is where what you need to do to find it easily, at least on your client. You can, of course, use the logs as well. The same GUIDs are also in the log. So if you want to, you can also take this here and copy that, and you can search for that GUID in the log to find the last time that one ran. So I don't actually, I have any more to show right now. I don't know why there's such an echo, but question is there any questions around this? Has anybody been playing around with proactive remediations? Has anybody started using it? Ryan, you have a question? Or did you just raise your hand for other reasons? Leon, you have have a question?
Yeah, it's just to say that I've been using it for a specific scenario where the customer that ultimately, because of recent events, had a lot of disconnected client devices. We were trying to configure these using Windows Update for Business, but there were some conflicting group policy settings we needed to remove. And that was our use case for using proactive remediation scripts, and it worked really well.
Yep. I mean, it's only your imagination that stops you from doing whatever you want. I've been using it to, I got a question for a customer to get more inventory data, which is one of the examples I really, really like, is that I'm using proactive remediations to create, fetch more inventory. And then you will, this type would be like this. I don't even have our remediation script. I just have the detection scripts. And in here, I'm fetching, let me just, what I can do, I can copy everything. And I can just copy it into here. Yeah, do like this. And then you see I fetch all kind of different stuff from the computers. And then I post it to Log Analytics. So then in Log Analytics, I can query these data in Log Analytics to fetch my inventory. So if you're interested, I can show you this. Let me just find it for you. Just to show an example how this can be. Let me see where it looks. Yeah. So this is where I can go and let's find a device. For instance, I can find my computer. This is all the application that's installed on my computer. This is fetched locally, and I can also see here on what version of Office is on the devices. I can look at the BitLocker encryption, if it's 128, 256. This is just some examples of building your own inventory and creating your own reports. And this is all done by proactive remediations, really. So I think it's all up to your imagination what you can do. with this.
Okay, Jan, in the chat there, John Tracy's asking, is there a tool that can pull this information and display it in a more easily readable way?
Which information, John? Because I've been talking about so much. Feel free to type or
logging information from the scripts.
Oh, you mean the local log? Yeah, well, the best way would be to, so the output from the scripts at currently are all, you can find the same data in the portal as I showed you, right? So you actually do have the output from the script is going to show here on the devices. But currently, there is no way to forward the data from here in the console to send this data to Log Analytics. But that would be a place where you can more easily fetch it. Or you can do log forwarding or log collectors on-prem. If you have on-premises environment, you can forward it into management extension log, or you can collect the JSONs from the registry remotely. But there is no tool except I'm using Log Analytics, and actually all this information here, the status and the output here, is also in Graph. So what you can also do is script through Graph to get all this data out and put it into whatever you want. Keith, what is law? I don't know that. What's that? Law? Oh yeah, Log Analytics Workplace. That's what you're meaning, right? Yeah. You can pull the data from Graph Log Analytics into Power BI pretty easily. So that's one way to do it. Or you can just build your, if you have it in Log Analytics. Actually, if you just want to have reports, there's no need to push it into Power BI, I think, because you can build workbooks in Log Analytics instead and just have the data in there. But if you want to put it into Power BI, you can do that. You can forward it to Splunk, whatever you have. It's a pretty open format. And if you have the data in Log Analytics and you learn some custo, you can do magic. Are there more questions? Anything else you want to see?
Mark Aldridge just put in the chat, do you have more information on how you set up custom images?
Yeah, I wasn't planning to talk much about that today. The reason is I have a full session about that one explicitly on another event in 3 weeks. So I have not blogged yet. I have not published it yet, but it's going to be out in around 10th, 11th of February. Then it's going to come out a blog post on that inventory stuff. So that's what I can say about it, I think, because I don't want to publish it yet, because I want to do that with the other event. So that is then I'm going to go actually more into Log Analytics, all up for MEM basically. Yeah, it's classified. No, it's not. Yeah, the thing is, first I was thinking this was 45 minutes and not an hour, but that's my mistake. I don't have much more to show you. The thing is, proactive remediation is not that complex. If you know about these locations, do you share the decks from this after, Randall? Because I can give you.
You can send the decks to us, and we can post them on our website, and we also record the session.
Oh, yeah, you record it, right? But yeah, I can give you a PDF of the deck. I'll send it to Greg.
That'd be great.
Yeah. So then you will have the locations. You don't have to search for them. And yeah, I think that's it for me right now. If you don't have any more questions.
Okay, anybody else got anything at all? All right. Well, Jan, thank you very much. You're very, very informative. I'm actually using a lot of this. We don't have Intune deployed yet, but I'm using a lot of this right now to remediate some client health issues. Evidently, there's a known issue in the OSD build that leaves remnants of policies that has been giving us a lot of grief. And we've been using scripts via the scripts tool to deploy out there, identify them, and then CIs to remediate them. So I'm looking forward to getting Intune deployed as well to make this a little easier.
Yeah. So to Robert, I would say the main difference between configuration baselines and Endpoint Analytics Proactive Remediations is the tool you use to deploy your scripts. So with the configuration baseline, you need to have a configuration manager client on the device, while this only requires you to have an Intune management extension on your device. So, and it's all about which tool you use. You can take your desired state configuration or your CI from config manager, take that script or whatever, script it, put it in here, and you will have the same effect, basically. Thank you for promoting my event, Adam. Actually, I'm really, really excited because I think we have about soon to be 1,000 registrants for the device, for the event. So I'm really looking forward to that.
I think it's going to be fantastic. I think it's going to be great.
Yeah, at least I'm getting really excited now with the numbers. So I'm hoping to go even higher. But yeah, so we're not going to be able to do Teams meetings, Adam, sadly. It's too many people.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's so. How are you hosting it then?
It's going to be Teams live events.
Ooh, lots of moderation. Good luck.
Yeah, but there is no other option, really.
Yeah, that's true.
So
are you using the Microsoft Community tenant for that?
No, we are using our own tenant, or using the MS Endpoint Manager tenant for it.
Okay, cool.
So it's cool. I'm really looking forward to it. It was great to be asked to speak for you guys as well. I don't think I ever spoken for a US user group ever. So that's the first. That's cool.
Well, we certainly appreciate you doing it, Jan.
Yep. I had to ask my wife for permission. It's Friday evening at 9:15 right now for me. So, but she said yes.
That's always a wise decision.
Yeah, well, I plan to continue living my good life tomorrow as well. So, yeah, definitely. All right.
Does anybody have anything else at the end here?
Yeah,
all right,
I agree.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yep. Thank you for having me. And maybe I'll come back another time.
We hope you do.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right. Take care, Jan.
Yep. Take care.